All right, it is 5:15, so I'm going to call this meeting to order, the public hearing of the Cocoa Beach Board of Adjustments. Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tabitha, if you would, please call the roll.
Mrs. Fanning? Here. Mr. Boger?
Here.
Mr. Haynes has been excused. Mr. Goldberg has been excused. Mr. Jackson?
Here.
Mr. Kalan has been excused. And Mr. Cole?
Here.
All right, well, we have the minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from our last hearing as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
A second.
Excellent. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Minutes approved. So I think we're at disclosure of conflicts.
I think we might be at that in error. I think we can go right to calling the.
You want to do the script?
Yeah, we can jump right to that. Alrighty, our first item of new business is case number PZ-23-24, and I have a little script that I get to read tonight before the hearing starts. This is a public hearing for review of a request to modify a prior approved special exception. Any individual, including the applicant, staff, witnesses, or members of the public who plan to speak or offer testimony during the public hearing, can you please stand now so the clerk can swear you in?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings? Yes. You are sworn. And then, as always, as the clerk, but also presenting, I have been sworn earlier today and have record documentation for the record.
Very good, thank you. Alrighty, tonight's hearing is quasi-judicial in nature, which requires our public hearing to comply with procedural requirements established in Florida law. Quasi-judicial proceedings are less formal than proceedings before a circuit court, but they're more formal than other types of meetings and hearings. And we have to follow some basic standards of notice and due process, and I'll make sure we do all that tonight. Decisions must be based on competent, substantial evidence. Please note that only competent, substantial, fact-based testimony and evidence will be considered by the board in its deliberation and in voting on this item. Pure speculation, mere opinion, that's not based in competent fact, it can't be legally used in weighing or making a decision on this item tonight. Lay testimony with fact-based support may be considered competent, substantial evidence. So if you hear something from a neighbor and you want to know whether you can consider that, you can feel free to ask me during the hearing and I can let you know. If you intend to speak, please keep this in mind. When you come forward, please state your name clearly for the record, whether or not you've been sworn in and your qualifications or interest in this matter. And Madam Clerk, has this item been properly advertised for tonight's meeting?
Yes, it was properly advertised and there's documentation on record.
All right, thank you. And at this time, if any board member has a conflict of interest that would prohibit them from voting on this item, please disclose that for the record now. Any conflicts of interest?
No. No.
No.
All right, very good. And at this time, are there any ex parte communications that any board member would like to disclose in relation to this item tonight?
Not communication, no. Did go by the property though today, just to get, had been.
And we have visited the property.
All right, very good. All right, and at this time, can a representative for the applicant come on up? I just have a quick procedural bit to get through. To the.
Let's sit down with you.
With a good invite. Yeah.
Can you please state your name for the record?
Penelope DiPolito.
All right, and thank you for being here tonight. Just so you know, this board has certain rules that for hearings involving special exceptions, which modification to a special exception would fall under this umbrella, you need to have 4 affirmative votes of the board in order to pass your request. There are only 4 board members here tonight. Our rules say that when there's less than 5 members of the board present, you can request to continue your item to a meeting in the future to where there's more board members. Would you like to do that, or would you like to proceed tonight?
I'll do, what do you mean proceed tonight?
Would you like to move forward with?
I'd like to move forward, yes.
Tonight? Okay.
Yes.
Very good. All righty. Well, thank you. Staff's going to give their presentation, and then when they're done, we'll call you back up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good evening, board members. Tabitha Armstrong, senior planner. And tonight we have special exception for 102 Woodland Avenue, PZ 23-24. It's a request to modify the conditions of a previously granted special exception. Now, before we kind of jump into what exactly we're looking at, we haven't had a special exception in a little bit, so I just want to go back over it. And tonight's is also a little bit different. So I just want to talk about what a special exception is. Previously, we've been dealing with variances. They're kind of amendments to the code, like, you know, can the fence be 6 foot or 8 feet or setbacks or things like that. This is more talking about property use and what is permitted there. Our current code has kind of puts it in 3 basic tiers, where we have a permitted by right, permitted via special exception, or a prohibited use. The one tonight has been permitted via a previous special exception. It was determined to be compatible with the permitted uses. It was not found to be detrimental, and it was approved with a few specific conditions: hours of operation, area of use, required fencing, things like that. So for this request, you are not approving a special exception. You are looking to review and amend the modifications, modify the conditions of the special exception. So for this one, it was approved with 11 conditions. The applicant is looking to modify condition number 1, which has to do with location of outside storage area. So just to have that clear, you guys would not be, denying the right or taking anything away from them. You're just modifying that number 1 condition, okay? And then also, for this request specifically, there have been changes to the land development code that has allowed us to come forward tonight. That had to go through the planning board, that had to go through commission and be approved on that end to be able to allow modifications of these types of uses, okay? All right, so the property tonight is 102 Woodland Ave. It's located in our Town Center redevelopment district. It is a warehouse storage facility that has the special exception that allows outdoor storage area. This request is to modify the special exception conditions. For this, there had previously been, they had previously approved the northern 60 feet of the property, but given the flood-prone nature, that's not really working out for them, and they needed to move that. So they're asking to amend the storage area to encompass the west side area where storage containers have already been placed, and I'll show you some pictures of exactly what we're looking at. Background of the property, owners purchased in 2004. The structure is a warehouse flex space located on 1st Street North and Woodland Avenue. Lots approximately 125 feet wide with 360 feet deep. Special exception had been approved in 2009 to allow the outside storage, but severe flooding led to a need to change the placement of those storage units. This is just the survey of the property. The yellow area here is the area that was approved via the special exception. So they got the approval for the outdoor storage area, and one of the conditions was where can they have that outdoor storage area. So initially it had been provided as being this yellow highlighted area here in the northern part of the property. Severe flooding in that area, they moved the storage units to the west side. This is the request for the new proposed area that they're requesting to modify for condition 1. So this would be really the new approval would be to go from the yellow area to the blue area. Now you'll see in the pictures that the storage units have already been moved. There was a little bit of confusion with stuff. They had gone to, after the flooding had occurred, they approached city staff to say, we're having some issues, we need to move stuff. There's an email in Exhibit B between the chief building official and the applicant to say, are we allowed to move these? They said yes, the storage containers were moved. It has been since, found that the chief building official didn't have that, ability to make those kind of changes to the condition. So we're coming back now to fix that in the way that it should have been done previously. We had to go through the code changes to allow for that because this use is now a prohibited use. So having outside storage and warehouse is a prohibited use, but with a special exception. When you are maintaining all of your conditions, you're not abandoning it, you are allowed to continue that special exception even when the use becomes prohibited. But with the way the wording was in the language, they did not have the ability to request a modification because of the new prohibited use. So in the packet, there's an area for special conditions, and you'll see the new subsection J that we added in that was specifically that within the town center development, even when it's a prohibited use, we are allowed to submit for modification. That one is brand new, and that's the one that led us to be here today, okay? These are just photographs of the area. This is the northern area that was previously approved. You can see kind of some of the flooding here and everything. Mr. Polito has some better pictures of that historical-wise. Here's the storage containers here, further down. The other side there, this is the new area, or hopefully the new approved area. This is what I was talking about a moment ago about the sections that was added. I know this is small here, but it is in your packet. But J, within the Town Center Redevelopment District, the owner of a property subject to an approved special exception currently in effect may apply to the Board of Adjustment for a modification to the conditions of such special exception, notwithstanding the fact that such a use is no longer currently allowed by being the prohibited use. Now, so you guys are in effect just modifying the conditions, right? So what I have created for you here are the draft conditions. So you can amend this in any way. This is just meant to help you to where we don't have to spend so much time making, 11 new conditions. When they were previously approved, it was approved with 11 conditions. These are essentially those same conditions, just amended for today's code sections, okay? So the highlighted areas are the only changes that were made. The first area is changing 1 to the new proposal of the location of the storage area must be substantially consistent with those plans labeled Exhibit C, which is the blue highlighted area, located at the western side of the property. The other 2 highlighted sections are LDC code sections. There have been updates to the code since the special exception was approved in 2009. So the previous sections that it referred to are no longer existent. They are new, labeled into different ones, so that it matches them up to those new code sections. So that if you were to look at the conditions today, it would be applied to the correct code section. So that's the only changes there. Type B and Type A have been crossed out simply because we don't refer to those types in our landscape code anymore. There's a specific area, so I just crossed those out just for, coherency and whatnot. And then the previous conditions, 11 and 8, were about that they needed to put up a fence within 6 months, put up a fence within a year. They have done that. So there's no reason to have code 10 and 11 there anymore because those items were already completed. So instead of the 11 special conditions, it would be updated to just the 9. And they're requesting only to modify number 1. And you do not have to go with these. This is just kind of the draft, staff recommendation of how they should be laid out, just to make things a little easier. And that's pretty much it. Any questions?
Yeah, what triggered this meeting?
So there was a code enforcement case that came out where the code enforcement came with how the storage units were not in the area that had been approved, okay? And that's where it came to light where it was like, well, there's this email that said we could do that. And then further review shows that that's not valid per the way that things have to go. Things have to be approved by you guys when it's a special condition. Staff can't just make those changes. So when it was reviewed that we needed you guys to make the amendments, that's when we saw that the code language didn't allow for those modifications because it's now the prohibited use. So this item had to go, not necessarily the specific item, but revisions to the code had to occur. So that went to the planning board and then it went to commission on first and second reading to even allow them to be here tonight to request these modifications, simply because of the time and the way we've updated the code from 2009 to the present.
And the current status of the location and the storage units and everything else, how long has it been that way?
So the records that I have are, it had appeared to be in like 2015, 2018 was when those changes were made.
Okay.
The email as the request to say, that was a 2018 email that said, can we move these? And they received the yes
Okay.
in Exhibit
So
B.
for at least 5 years?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? And then if I have had this reviewed from other members of staff, other departments, to make there's no issues with the current, even though it's been existing for the last 5 years, and there's no issues from any other departments, safety, fire, things like that.
Okay.
With the current configuration. Okay.
Excellent, thank you.
Anything else? Good. All right.
All right, so for folks not familiar with the Board of Adjustments, what you're going to see going forward is the applicant will come up to the podium and make their presentation, any expert witnesses as well. The board will have questions for the applicant and/or special witness. Then the opportunity for public comment will occur. After that, I'll close the public comment and the board will go through a time of discussion. And that's really what makes up the public hearing. You'll be able to hear the discussion, the basis for the decisions that are made. Okay, so let's proceed. Will the applicant please approach the podium?
It's all set for you there. You can do this. Now with it having be like this, it does get rid of your little notes.
Oh, good.
So that's okay.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I'm Penny DiPolito, Penelope Penny DiPolito. It's my husband, Gregory DiPolito. We are the owners of Woodland Business Center. We got married at Fisher Park 44 years ago. Got 4 kids, raised them here, got grandchildren. We retired from the space program. We're both engineers and work from the bottom up. So that's our introduction. All right. Any questions so far? Okay. Let's see. All right. So this is the appraisal we received when we bought the building. It's 2004. The reason I want to go here is to show you the condition of the area in 2004. This was a storage area they had. This is right out of the appraisal, of course. The next few pictures will be, but they had a little fence there. You could see they had storage behind that. They had a boat there. So I just wanted to show you that. Here's another area. This is in the back. This is actually that fence to the right was replaced with the new wall fence you see now. There used to be a chain link fence there. The fence went way down. It was broken. People were getting through. We had people trespassing. We had a big mess to clean up when we bought it. And I think everyone was very happy, especially the neighbors in the city. They said, "You're doing great." We said, "Good, we're trying." we're truly trying. So we got that storage. We've got more storage out front still. That little black car there was stored there for quite a while. And that finally got moved. But, you can't move things overnight there either because you're dealing with your tenants. So we had things scattered everywhere that we walked into. This was the area that was currently set as a special exception area in 2009. There was stuff everywhere. That's people working out in the yard. There's a dumpster there, just different things. That's just showing the boat area on the other side, the east side of the southeast side. We stored a boat there. This is the property in 2006. This shows there's still storage there. We own it now, but there's still storage there. We've got a van parked, we've got a boat, we've got some things in the corner there. We've got boats on the east side, also stored there still. We thought this was the correct use. We walked in, when we bought it, they had stuff there. We were trying to clean it up, put everything where it belongs. And we used to have a white picket fence out there. We replaced that with a, I guess it's about 6 feet high out front there. Let's see. This shows the fence the way it was after we bought it. they left that open so they could go back and forth. So we had lots of people going back and forth, especially from the bars and everything. They, you know, they're intoxicated. They come through our property, climb through there to get home. Okay, this is the containers. This is actually a camera shot from our security camera. So there is a date up there. This is in 2018. This is when they were sitting over in that area that we were approved for. The row of containers you see in the yellow circle, they're sitting on blocks, and when the mud comes, they were getting catawampas because, and when you do that, these containers are engineered, they're very expensive, they're engineered just for this use, and there's seals and there's all kinds of stuff, and what happened was it came loose and got really wet, and we had a very upset tenant because the stuff got ruined. So we declared an emergency. We have an emergency. We've got upset people. What can we do? We had to figure this out. What are we going to do? We said, well, let's scoot them over here. Let's ask them if we can scoot them over to the left on the higher ground where it doesn't flood. So I'm just showing you the area. There's water. There's a big puddle back there. This is where they were sitting. So I just wanted to show you that. This is what we deal with when we have storms. This is a bad day. We get about 4 of these. Well, how many a year, Greg, do we get of these?
You could probably get about 4 or 5.
4 or 5 a year. We actually installed that drain to the right. You can see the water just getting sucked down. And all this water comes from the north end. So we're handling it. This whole part of that building is getting replaced. We're working on that right now. I've got the drawings getting ready to submit those. So it's going to be a lot better building. We're just trying to get there. And then, this is when I was telling you they sit on blocks and keep firm on the ground. When it gets wet, the blocks go into the ground, the water comes through, undermines the dirt underneath, and it just gets really bad. That's 2018, just for the date. This is our fence along the back. It's 245 feet long from one end to the other. It's 7.5 feet tall. And that runs along the back, and that's where the storage units are now. There's 32.5 feet between the end of that storage unit and the wall there, so there's plenty of egress. We've had, well, you'll see in a minute. This is showing we've got shrubbery and trees behind the fence. This is showing more clearance, 17.5 feet between the front of the storage unit and the stairs, so you can get by. And then to the wall down there, it's 25.5 feet. And I just took these photos the other day. This is a gentleman that just moved in, and he'll be speaking tonight, I believe. So he's our new tenant. I like to call him guest. You can see there's a lot going on there. We had no issues. We had people coming and going. There was no issues at all. Everybody can get to their things. They're not noisy. We have UPS. We have them come during holiday season. They rent a couple of these so that they can get the local neighborhood, get all their presents and packages out. They fit right in there. It's no issue. There's still plenty of room for people to drive around that truck also if they need to get around. And they're only there for half an hour or so to load and unload. Administrative steps, we're strict. We do our due diligence. We have signs with no trespassing posted. We've got a business sign where no, don't do this, don't do that. Go slow, 5 miles an hour, no smoking. So we try to keep our rules in place. The applicant, when they come to us, they fill out an application. We do a background check, check all of that. And then we also have a very strict lease. It's like 4 or 5 pages. So it goes into detail. We sit each person down and actually read it to them and make sure that everybody, because we're trying to make sure that we all understand the rules so the place runs correctly and everybody gets along. Our neighbors and community, we provide a local community with a professional operated, safe and secure area to store their personal and business related items. We haven't received any complaints at all, so I don't, we'll let that go. The fence on the west wall is actually, you've got that, and you've also got the containers in front of that. Between that, you have a sound barrier, which is great. So people behind us don't even realize what's going on over the fence. They don't, you don't even know they're there. It's very thick and nice and quiet. We talk to our neighbors all the time across the street, and, say hi. They'll say, hey, you're doing good. They see us out there just about every day. We work with the city directly, and been doing that for quite a while. And we try to stay within the comprehensive plans. We pay attention to everything, trying to be a good steward there. And lastly, we are working to mitigate the flood-prone area, working with the city to come up with some solutions for that. Thank you for allowing me to apply for the special modification. And do you have any questions or concerns?
Questions from the board?
Are you going to add more containers?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, so the containers that you have along, I believe, would be the west side of the property, right?
Correct.
Up against that 7.5-foot wall with a sound barrier.
Yes, sir.
Are the blocks that you have them on, you said when it does rain and you get flooding,
No, sir.
or are they okay in that area?
No, sir, that's all asphalt. Solid,
Okay, so they're
rock
fine
solid.
there.
Yes, rock
But you
solid.
have problems when they're back on the
mud.
north end.
On the dirt and the grass, mud.
I see. Where the boats and all that stuff are parked
Yes.
now.
Yes.
I got you, okay.
Questions? No. Any questions from staff? No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on running a real good business, by the way.
Well, thank you. It's, we'll get there. Story of my life. We appreciate you guys too. Thank you, Tim.
All right, I will open the floor for public comment. If you have a comment to make, please come to the podium, state your name and your address.
Just a note for the public comment as well, we had 5 via email, those are all in your packets, all positive comments, so we're willing to approval. I have not received any kind of
I read through them.
an objection. I'm not sure who's here tonight, but prior to the meeting, I have not received anything via telephone or email or anything like that.
Hi, I'm Susan Awad. I have a small business on Orlando. It's called All Around the House. We sell new furniture and used furniture and home accessories. And I do have a unit with Greg and Penny. And they keep it super clean down there. Like, I trust them. I feel secure there. And as you know, all of us who live here in hurricane land always hate it when there's a storm and it floods, because it does flood very badly down there. And there's really nothing that can be done except at great expense to stop it, which I know they're planning and working on that. But if these storage units were actually in the dirt, that would be very problematic for me, and I wouldn't be able to have one down there because of the nature of, even my used furniture is in excellent condition, and I would never take it through the dirt. We also do meet our big furniture delivery trucks back on that street in front of his place and offload there onto our truck, just because you can only imagine a great big transfer trailer truck on Orlando in front of our store. And I just, we are really happy there. We think they do a great job, but definitely we need to keep everything as dry as possible. And I do think, keeping the pods and everything in the new area is much better, but I don't know if you have questions, or I just am here for support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm a new resident from 2 years. My name is Shelley Fuller. I live off of 4th Street South. When we first moved here 2 years ago, almost to the day, like within the week, we could not find storage here. So we had to go all the way to Cocoa to find a storage unit. Well, this past December, we were getting sick of going out to our storage unit in Cocoa, so I started calling around, and the only place I could find was here. And he explained what it was, and it's so convenient. And when he called me the other day, and I was like, why would they change it? no harm, no foul. So that's why I'm here concerning, if it's not broke, don't fix. You know, there's nothing to fix. So that's my logic. So I would have to move all my stuff out because I couldn't put it on dirt. It's just like the other residents that have there. So, do you have any questions? I would.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is John Goulding. I was sworn in earlier. I live right down the street. I'm very happy with renting one of the containers at Greg and Penny's place. They're very professional people. They run a very professional business. I think they've really, in the years that they've owned it, brought the level up much higher than it has ever been. And I think they're an asset to our community. I would hate having to trudge through the mud as well to get to my storage unit. But I hope you guys make the right decision. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Aaron Young. I'm the newest resident of Cocoa Beach. I've been here a week and a half.
Welcome.
I rented my unit a week before I left Idaho on my 3,000-mile trip with the family in that Penske truck that you saw. For me to have that storage unit was the only option I had. There was nowhere else in town that I could get one at that size. And fantastic when I showed up, because like she was saying, the hurricane stuff, I've never lived here before, but we always hear about it, right? So to know that my storage unit's sitting on asphalt, lifted up and dry is a great thing. Another issue I had is when I was unloading that truck, I realized I didn't have enough storage unit for what I had in that truck. My wife and my 2 kids were living in a vacation rental for 5 months until we find a house. So my whole life is in those storage units. I had to rent another one from them. The only place I could go where I could turn to Greg and Penny and say, I need help, I need another unit, and they said, we have one right next door. So without them having what they have there, and me knowing that they're dry and they're safe, it wouldn't have been possible. My stuff would have been who knows where right now. So I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome to Cocoa Beach.
Any other public comments? All right. I'll now close public comment. And just a reminder, as we mentioned earlier, it is a quasi-judicial hearing. Functions only to allow the application of the Land Development Code as written. We don't get to pick whether we like an idea or not, only if it fits with the code. We are guided by the criteria that were given and were mentioned earlier. We're fact-based, as our discussions will be, and it's the means, this public discussion is the means by which we evaluate and make a determination. So I request that the board begin public discussion, or the board's discussion.
I'll be honest with you, Ron and I drove down by the property, and we drove all the way, 360 around it. I see no harm personally in where they're at right now. And aesthetically.
I didn't even realize they were back there. I don't know how, and I used to live over there.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
aesthetically,
No, they look great.
they're all consistent with each other. I have no problem with it.
I used to look right there, and it does flood really bad on Woodland and Cedar. And so I understand the emergency feeling they probably felt when they sent that email to move the storage units. If you have
Right.
all these people renting out storage units and their stuff is potentially going to be wet, makes sense where they even moved it. And like you said, it is aesthetically pleasing where they even put it. And
Yeah.
the wall is really nice and up high, and it sounds like the neighbors are not upset.
No, and the point remains is that, they're just asking to move them from here down over along in here where they're dry.
Where they've been without complaint for a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had that email that said, yeah, go ahead and move them if they're
Yeah.
getting wet, so.
Yeah.
Personally, I believe the city is blessed to have an operation like that here, and people that are concerned about it, and people that are taking care of their customers like that. We need more people like that, so.
I agree.
And I think the fact that this is just a modification to an existing special exception.
Yeah.
And
It's
it
just
was
the one.
something that was done in good faith, I think matters a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know.
I think the fact that they had to adjust the one thing, the first thing of like where it is, like makes sense for the situation. It wasn't like they just decided to break one of the, the first rule of it. And they even did try to contact the city by sending that email, but even where they put it just makes sense anyways.
And that they've already closed two of the special conditions, or two of the conditions.
Yes, they handled the ones that they were asked to do the first time, so that makes a lot of sense to me.
Further discussion?
No, I'm good.
I'm good.
If we are starting into a motion, just a reminder, if the motion is to approve, a yes vote is to support that approval. If the motion is to deny, then a yes vote is to deny. So just remember that. Do we have a motion?
Say that again?
If the motion is to approve, then when we vote, a yes vote is in support
Okay, I
of
got you.
approval.
All right, I didn't quite hear all that.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I second that motion.
I think we've got to
Read off the
state
case number.
the specifics. For instance, with it could be with a modification to, accept the modification to condition 1, and then the conditions as presented.
Is that the approval of the special exception? To read?
Motion to approve special exception. Did you want the draft conditions reposted, or are you good? I do believe they should be also.
That's this one, right? Should I need to read this?
You can state, Garrett, how would you recommend you read this?
Yeah, there's no need to go condition by condition. It would just be a motion to approve the modification to condition 1 of the special exception with staff's recommended conditions.
I approve the special exception stated in number 1.
Okay, so the motion to approve, you do have to do the in case number
Okay.
on page 4 of the briefing.
Thank you. Yeah. In case number PZ-23-24, I move to adopt the findings in the staff report and the testimony given and approve the modifications of the conditions of previously approved special exception case number 09-300-1210-01 per Cocoa Beach Land Development Code, section 4-43J, to allow outside storage units at a 21,600 square feet retail warehouse facility within the town center zoning district located at 102 Woodland Avenue, with the following conditions. Keep reading.
Just subject to staff's conditions.
Subject to staff conditions.
That would be acceptable.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
All right, now roll call vote on a motion to approve with the staff recommended conditions. Let's go, Ms. Manning,
Yes.
Mr. Boger,
Yes.
Mr. Jackson,
Yes.
and Mr. Cole.
Yes.
All right, motion passes 4-0.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
I will open the floor, the case is done, but open the floor for public comment on anything else that public feels need to comment on that pertains to the matters that the board has scope over. Fair enough. All right. Any staff reports?
No staff.
Any member reports?
No.
All right. And I'll adjourn this meeting.